Hi, I've recorded this video just because I moved from the United Kingdom to the United States, to Chicago, about 18 months ago. And I've been telling everyone about how expensive groceries are here in the United States in general in comparison to the UK. So I know things like exchange rates and tax and things like that fluctuate, but I've just been shocked by how expensive groceries are. Other items are fairly comparable, like cars, housing, rent, salary, things like that. But grocery prices are very much more expensive in the US. So I wanted to talk about that in this video. So I've gone around supermarkets in the UK and the US, picked out various items and compared the costs, and then I'll summarize at the end. So thank you for sticking with me on this. I actually recorded this in August last year, August 2019, prior to the COVID situation at the moment, and I hope everyone out there is well. And managing as well as possible in these circumstances. But I've not had time to put this video together and edit all of these clips together. So obviously, as you'll see from this video, I'm certainly not an expert at doing this, but I just wanted to put that information out there and invite some debate, because I really don't understand why the prices are so much higher in the US than the UK. So as I said, recorded in August 2019, the exchange rate at the time was $1.22 to the pound. So when I'm talking about pounds, that's British pound sterling. A pound is worth $1.22, and therefore a dollar is 82 pence, 82 pennies, which is the British equivalent of cents. Also a difference that you're probably potentially aware of is that in the UK, tax is included in all the prices, so the price you see on the shelf is the price you pay. So if you see something on a shelf that says £1, you can walk up to the counter with £1 and pay, and off you go. So you certainly are paying tax there. The tax on most goods in the UK is actually 20%. So it's called VAT. There is not VAT on children's clothes, children's food, and what are deemed to be essentials. So you don't pay tax on essentials like milk, bread, and things like that, and you don't pay tax on anything for children. But most other items have tax included. But I have worked that out here, so I'll talk about that in the comparison at the end. But I've worked out the tax and the exchange rate and everything, and it's still almost all items significantly more expensive in the US. Other things worth noting for this video is when I talk about a pint in the UK is 20 fluid ounces and a US pint is 16 fluid ounces. That's related to the fact that a US gallon is less than a British gallon. So a US gallon is 3.78 litres, a UK gallon is 4.54 litres. And there's various bits of folklore about how the gallons came to be different. The one I like is that the original sample gallon of wine that was sent over from England to the colonies, as they were at the time, someone drank some of it, or some of it was leaked out. So the gallon that is used in the US came to be significantly less than a British gallon. But in all cases, I've compared the prices where the pack sizes and weights are different. I've either converted down to the lowest common denominator or tried to, if it's a 200 gram box versus a 400 gram box, doubled the cost in the UK. So all the costs that I'm talking about in the summary are comparable. Anyway, I'll stop talking and let you guys watch this video if you're still with me. Right, I'm at Mariano's Fresh Market in Chicago to do the US side of this grocery price comparison. So this is just a standard run-of-the-mill Mariano's, sort of middle of the ground, kind of Sainsbury's type supermarket, which is better than bog standard like Jewel Osco. Jewel Osco's kind of like Tesco, Asda, like Walmart. This is a little bit better, but the prices are reasonable. So not like Whole Food or whatever. So you're going to go in, check it out, and do a comparison of a basket of groceries and see why stuff costs 2 to 3 times as much in the US. And I've come to the Sainsbury's supermarket, which is one of the more upmarket ones So kind of closer to Mariano's than Jewel-Osco. But it's kind of, yeah, certainly not Whole Foods, but it's yeah, it's one of the main supermarkets in the UK. I think the second or third biggest one. And this is my little hire car, my Vauxhall Mokka. I'm not going to go into a comparison test between cars. Here's some groceries that I bought, and I took the opportunity to do the grocery comparison test. And it's some beautiful British weather. It's raining. £70p per kilo. I'll work out what that is. We've got organic bananas. Generally, only one kind of banana available. And they're all 70p per kilo. Bananas are 49 cents a pound for bananas. Chiquita, 59 cents a pound for organic. And they also have some exotic varieties, which are much more expensive. So yeah, so there's a good variety of bananas available. Well, they don't actually have any red ones. Okay, we're looking for a cucumber. There we go. So there's half a cucumber for sale. Cucumber chopped in half, 40p. Full cucumber. Full cucumber, what we call an English style cucumber in the US, 55p. Cucumber, grown in Canada. This is a very small cucumber, the only variety we have, 2 for $3 plus tax. So this is a very small cucumber, and it's a normal cucumber. They do sell these odd cucumbers here, which would be sold as pickling cucumbers in Europe, but they actually sell them for consumption dry, and they're $1.19 plus tax for one. Again, very small. Lots of bread. Loads of selections of bread, but here is, whoa, a loaf of baked on-site sugar-free bread, and 10. And more typical is all of the pre-packaged bread that you get. So this is a brown granary bread, ready sliced, full meal, sugar-free, $1.45. Here we go. So for bread, I wasn't really sure what to do because they don't really have loaves of bread. There's a whole story about sugar in bread here. Very hard to find good bread that is not cake-like. And this French baguette is no different. It's like a burger bun. It is not crisp. Is $1.99 for an alleged French baguette, and it's a very large one. But as I say, it's not something I'd want to eat. Otherwise, you get these very small loaves of baked bread, very soft and spongy, and invariably has sugar quite high up the list of ingredients. Milk. There is the biggest size you can get. That is, what is that? 6 pints. 6 pints of milk. I don't actually see there's the shelf edge. 6 pints of milk, £1.50. 4 pints of milk, £1.10. That's whole milk. Right, milk. There's lots and lots and lots of varieties of milk available, but just regular whole milk is $2.49 for a gallon, a US gallon, which is 3.78 litres. So we'll compare that to a 4-litre bottle in the UK. So that's $2.49, but they are doing 2 for $4 as a special offer. Right there. 6 standard free range eggs. £1. So if we want to go for, what is that? 15? Odd amount? 15. These are cheap, basics eggs. $1.25. Or at the premium end, there we go, $1.85 for 6. So this includes tax. So these British blue eggs. Oh, there's one missing. Someone's taking one out. There, they're blue coloured. This is what I was looking for. These are my favourite. Old Cotswold leg bar. They are blue. £2.30 for 6. Okay, for eggs, I wanted to compare the price of 6 eggs, half a dozen eggs, but it's almost impossible to find boxes of just 6 eggs here. So Mariano's don't have any. So generally you have to go to a small corner shop to find that. So looking at packs of 12 sort of cage-free, reasonable large eggs, so that's $3.79. $3.79 for 12. I've had some real challenges approaching this Tropicana stand because it's been blocked by people the whole time. So this is the largest container of Tropicana orange juice we can get. There's one with extra bits, one with no bits. So that is £3.80, which seems to be very, very expensive. £3.80 for 1.6 litres. The normal size you buy would be this. So this is 950 mils, just under a litre, $2.45 standard. Right now, orange juice. So I thought Tropicana would be a good one, since Tropicana is actually from America. It's regular. They don't sell like the cardboard containers of Tropicana here, but that is so 1.53 litres of Tropicana pulp-free is on sale for $3.99. I don't know what the price is. $3.99. Or if you go for the big jug, which is like, we'll never get one that big in the UK. That is 2.63 litres of orange juice. That is $5.99. But these are pretty typical. So here's a pack of 4 peach yogurts. So that is 420 grams. Now yogurts, I think just if we just go for a regular like Danone Activia yogurt like you get in the UK, so that's $2.89 for 4. $2.89 for 4. Or they got like $6.79 for what's that, 12. But you wouldn't get that many, is it? Right, so the bacon landscape in the UK is different. Because most bacon, normal bacon you get here is like this. It's called back bacon. So it's a large pink section with a small amount of fat on it. The kind of bacon you tend to get in the US we call streaky bacon. And it's like this. And it's not so common. So most bacon is back bacon. So there we go, typical back bacon, $2.50 for 220 grams. So that's definitely a smaller pack than you would get in the US. I'll try and find a pack of streaky. I'm struggling. Oh, here we go. So here's a pack of streaky bacon, standard streaky bacon, 14 rashers. See how healthy it is for you. So that same 220 grams. It's on sale, £2. So that is a middle of the road pack of bacon. And the packs are bigger here, so that's 340 grams of bacon. 6.49 plus tax. That's for a steak. So this is a Irish, so imported from Ireland, 21 days mature sirloin steak. 155 grams, £2.65. It's not a particularly thick one. It's hard to compare steaks because they sell so many cuts on the bone. And they have like New York strip and stuff like that we don't really get in the UK. So this is a ribeye, well, this is an Angus, but this is about average, $11.05 for £0.79. Just a regular steak. Quite a lot, it'd be a good steak for one person. There's a standard pack, Irish again. Standard pack of lean mince. So that is 500 grams, half a kilo. 3 pounds. Right, we got 0.04 pounds of mince, ground chuck. That's $7 and a penny, and they don't really have steak mince. This is just regular beef mince, so kind of a normal size pack. There's all the Chicago Town frozen mini microwave pizzas, £2 or $1.50. Let's just go for a standard. So this is a store-owned brand. Double pepperoni pizza, 362 grams, £1.40. So we go for a more branded one. There's a Goodfellas pepperoni pizza, £2. And what have we got? So they're probably the best that you'd find here. The stuffed crust loaded pepperoni. It's very heavy. 645 grams, £3.90, including tax. Right, that old staple, the pepperoni frozen pizza. So this is just a sort of middle of the road brand. Pepperoni frozen pizza, just normal size, not massive. So what is that? 630 grams. And that is $8.49 normally, on sale for $7.99 plus tax. You always got to remember plus tax. Yeah, so that's just regular pepperoni. Can't get that exact pizza in the UK, but we'll find something similar. Not own brand. Heinz baked beans. So it's a pack of 6 cans of Heinz baked beans. $3.85. 1 tin. Identical to what we saw in Chicago. 75p. There's a fridge pack. So this comes in a screw cap, thick plastic container, so you can just pour a bit out and not use a whole can. $2.40. They also have tiny little cans for 65p, and also a whole selection of own brand beans. So they're Heinz beans organic, and with chili, 95p, with bacon, 95p, barbecue flavour, 95p, curry flavour, 95p, Portuguese peri peri flavour, 95p. It's potentially slightly unfair, but in the world food section, Heinz baked beans, just a normal size tin of Heinz baked beans, $2.49. A very small bottle of HP sauce, $4.59. Bottle of sour cream, $5.99, not 70 pence. And Jacob's cream crackers on sale for $1.89 for one small pack, 200 grams. I just spotted this, but this is the small international food section. So here is the American food section. So this is stuff from the US, theoretically. So there's a box of 10 Twinkies, which I've never seen for sale in the UK before. 10 Twinkies, I've never eaten one, for £5. Gatorade. So there's the blue Gatorade. There's actually no price on the shelf for that. There we go. Snapple 150, root beer 190, cream soda 190. And there's the Swedish fish 150. And a payday bar, a small payday bar, 150. You don't get my house of bottles of water here, so the largest you'll find is a 1.5 litre, 65p. Actually, 5 litre, there we go. 5 litre Caledonia. Scottish mountain water. £1.10 for 5 litres. We're not going to find the same brand, but here is a, what's that, a 3 litre bottle of water, just regular brand, $1.49. That's pretty good. So there we go. So a 2 litre bottle of Pepsi, 2 litres, $1.95. 1.5 litre bottle of Pepsi, $1.70. The own brand cola, own brand bottle, 2 litres of cola, 45p. Coke Zero, 45p. Cherry Pepsi Max, 1.5 litres, £1. There's a raspberry Coke Zero, made in the UK, 1.25 litres, £1. And they seem to be sold out of standard bottles of Coke. There's Diet Coke. Coke Light, $1.95 for 2 litres. There's caffeine-free Diet Coke, $1.95 for 2 litres. Right, a 2 litre bottle of Coke, $1.99, or 3 for $5. Same story with Sprite, same story with Pepsi. 2 litres, 2.1 quarts, $1.99, 3 for $5. But cans, the US used to always have large drinks cans that were bigger than Europe. Oh, that's got a leak in it. Yeah, that can's all soft. That's not good. But now they've introduced these tiny little cans. Don't look very tiny because the camera's too close. Yeah, they're 7.222 milliliter cans, which are obviously like the 3 cans you get on a flight. So I'm just looking for. No, I can't see any normal sized cans. Oh, and while we're here, the other item on my list was a bottle of Baileys. God, look at that. An enormous bottle of Baileys there. That is a 1.75 litre, but yeah, a regular 750ml bottle of Bailey's, $24.99. Bailey's. So you can get strawberries and cream flavoured Bailey's here as well. It's on sale for £14. It's not that popular, looks like. So here is a 1 litre bottle of Bailey's. It's got a security tag on so you don't steal it. 1 litre bottle of Bailey's, £20. Right, so my 6th bottle of Sierra Nevada challenge has turned out to be nothing because they seem to have stopped selling Sierra Nevada. And I noticed that, oh god, there it is right there. Right, so they don't sell it in 6-packs, they sell individual bottles. Exactly the same, imported from California, same size. Either or Mills River, North Carolina, Chico, California, where I've been. Did their brewery tour, which was excellent. £1.80 per bottle. So alcohol is more expensive in the UK. Right, for beer, I've gone with Sierra Nevada is my favourite beer in the world. It is brewed in the US, but just in general, alcohol is cheaper here. Maybe not spirits, but certainly alcohol. But like beer is cheaper. So, but this is like fancy beer. It's not just Stellar or Carling. So 6 bottles of Sierra Nevada, $9.49. Right, so soup. There we got a tin of Campbell's tomato soup. This is a condensed, so it makes double. So you pour the can in and then you pour the same volume of water in, so double strength. So there, 294 grams is £1. Noticing a theme here that almost everything costs £1. And here we go for a Heinz tin of normal tomato soup. So this one isn't condensed. Ring cool can, 85p, including tax. There's a Campbell's tin of soup, a small one. So that's 305 grams. Campbell's soup, $1.59 on sale. Olive oil. So here they've got the standard Filippo Berrio and the extra virgin. So if you go for exactly the same bottle, there we go, 750ml, exactly the same glass bottle. We lucked out today, so it's on half price. So normally $5.95, for sale $2.97, including tax. Pretty good. Right, so for a reasonably fair comparison, Italian bottles of olive oil. So I mean, you do get American olive oil, but just particular brands, so we can do a direct comparison. So this is 750 mils of the Filippo Berrio extra virgin olive oil. $9.39 normally, but on sale at $6.99. Crisps or chips. We call chips crisps in the UK. Tend to come in massive multi-packs, very small bags. And you get 14 very small bags mixed. So common flavours, cheese and onion, ready salted, salt and vinegar, prawn cocktail. So it's like shrimp flavour. So there are not many large bags around to compare to the family size Lay's. So these are premium. This is the Walker's Max. So Walker's is like Lay's. A large paprika flavour, 150 gram bag, £1. 1.85 is just £2. Generally pound. Generally it seems to be about £1. So there is a 6-pack. There's 6 small bags in there at £1.25. And that includes tax. All these prices in the UK include tax, because sales tax is added to the sticker price. So what it says on the sticker is what you pay. So if I have £1.85 in my pocket, I can buy this and walk up, and I don't need to figure out how much tax are they going to add. There we go, 226 gram bag of just standard, like ready salted crisps. Normally $3.19, reduced to $2.99 or $1.88 each if you buy 3. That's the kind of, by UK standards, would be a large bag of crisps. They do have absolutely massive family size bags, but I'll have nothing that I can compare that to in the UK. Or even party size. See this one? There is a massive half a kilo of crisps. But yeah, so this is a large bag of crisps, the largest that like a normal person would ever require for human consumption if you're not having a party. So they've rebranded as Ritz Bakery, and I think they now bake them rather than. It's a new recipe, 70% less saturated fat. So it's sort of baked rather than fried. So they come in a pretty small box, 200 grams, £1. But this box is much smaller than what you get in the US. So they have tomato and herbs. That's about it. Original and tomato and herbs. They do have cheese as well, but they don't sell it in this supermarket. Same price. Right, Ritz crackers is a tough one because the boxes of Ritz crackers in the UK are absolutely tiny. So this is a big, like a standard size box here, 388 grams. It seems to be a popular price at $2.79. Someone just smashed something. But one thing I would say is the Ritz crackers here are much better than in the UK. They are like completely baked. They look like on the box. They're completely baked, they're browned, they're salty, and they're crispy. And they're probably illegal in the EU. But allegedly, hearsay quotes, I'm not making any legal claims here, but growing up I remember Ritz crackers and they were like this and they were delicious. Ritz crackers in the UK now are, as we would say in Scotland, peely wally. They're pale, they're not cooked properly, and they're soft and they're not very salty. These are amazing. And also look at all the flavours they have. They have vegetable, garlic butter, hint of salt, low salt, reduced fat, bacon flavoured, honey wheat, whole wheat. So yeah. So whoever, I think a different company, because Nabisco make Ritz crackers in the US, and I think they sold it to another company in the UK. So you're going to see a very different picture when we're in Sainsbury's. Well, one thing I did notice, which I didn't capture at the other supermarket, that here, this is, so there's actually companies that import this baby food from the UK and sell it on eBay because it's so much cheaper in the UK. Like orders of magnitude cheaper. So they're 800 grams, so a large tub of infant baby food, £10. So it's £10 for almost a kilo of infant food. In the US it's sold in smaller containers for more than double the price. Right, for baby formula I've come to Target, because I didn't do a baby formula video at Mariano's, but it's much the same thing. So here's powdered baby formula. So there's slightly different variations. So Similac is one of the most popular. There's non-GMO, which is a thing. It'd be impossible to find genetically modified baby formula in the UK. But they have non-GMO. I'm trying to spot what the difference is. Don't know, but they're the same price anyway. So this is 30 ounces, so 873 grams. Slightly more, $36.99. $36.99 for just under a kilo. One thing you notice here is
this is a colleague announcement. Can I
Pampers
please
goes up
return
to
to checkout?
size
Thank
8
you.
here. But for the same comparison, they also have size 4, 4 plus, 5, 5 plus, 6. But if we look at standard size 5, if I can find one, there we go. The size 5 as we were looking at. So size 5, 39 in the pack, £6. So £6 for 39. But if you step up, you can go for, so there's a massive pack, it says a size 5 jumbo pack, 72 in the pack, £10. And I know they do regularly do 2 for £15 or 2 for £16 as well when they're on special offer of these massive packs. Right, and another American brand, Pampers, diapers, nappies. So we just went size 5, Eden's about to go into. So size 5, pack of 24, normally $9.99, on special offer $8.99, and some kind of special offer there. But yeah, so normally $9.99, special offer $8.99, and this is an American brand. Hi guys, right, so I hope that video was useful. Apologies about the sound quality on some of those clips. It was quite inconsistent between different clips, recorded obviously at different times in different locations, just on my phone. I entertained the idea of dubbing over it, but I thought that was just going to be too difficult. So this chart now shows the price difference between all of the different items running down through the list. So we have the UK price in pounds, then the conversion of what that price would be in dollars at the prevailing exchange rate, 122 at the time, and then the US price includes the tax that's calculated. So that's based on City of Chicago, so that's 10.25% tax. So I do appreciate that's significantly more tax than probably the vast majority of the US. But it's still, 10% is still, even if there was no tax, the prices are still significantly higher, even tax-free, in almost all cases. There's no case where the tax made the difference between it being more expensive and cheaper. So I'll just run through each item very, very briefly and talk about it. So the bacon, yes, it was a bigger pack in the US, slightly bigger, but we're talking 135% more expensive. So $7.16 versus $3.05. That's all in, including tax, for a pack of bacon. And also the British beef, the British meat is, because it's within the EU, higher welfare standards, no growth hormone, no genetically modified crops, etc. So we're always told in the UK that our meat is so expensive because of the high standards. But looking at this, it's more than double the price, 135% more for bacon, so hard to understand. So the baguette, again 112% more, $1 versus $2, and much, much superior baguette in the UK. I know there was a bunch of bread compared there, but the baguette I thought was a useful one to look at. The bananas actually were pretty close, so only 27% more expensive in the US. The baked beans possibly unfair, but Heinz baked beans actually originate from the US and became popular in Britain during the war, and are now made primarily in Britain and are less common in America. But looking there, 92 cents for a can versus $2.75. So these are beans made by an American company. Why is it 200% more expensive? And that's just for buying one can. You can also buy a 6-pack, which is half the price of the 92 cents. So the Bailey's 51% more expensive. So what I did there was I realised the bottle in the UK was a 1 litre bottle for £20 versus a 750ml. So I factored down the UK cost to be 3/4. So therefore it's 50% more expensive for the Bailey's. And also I've not accounted for bottle tax, because in Chicago anything you get in a glass bottle there's some additional tax on it that I couldn't factor in, because I don't know exactly what the amount would be. Similarly with the beer here, so because it is Sierra Nevada beer made in the US, That is the first item we came across that's actually cheaper. So 21% more cheaper in the US, but there is very high tax on alcohol in the UK to discourage drinking. So still, despite that it's domestically produced in the US, so much lower shipping costs. So surprising, it's only 20% cheaper. That's for 6 bottles. The bread, 146% more expensive. The chips, 170% more expensive in the US. The Coca-Cola, again domestically produced in the US, is 8% cheaper in the US for a 2 litre bottle. But I would, because you can get huge discounts if you buy multi-packs, you can buy 6 2 litre bottles as a pack in the UK, and that would work out cheaper than anything you could get in the US. So cucumbers was the first item we noticed when we moved here, because normally cucumbers 50 pence, 55 pence. You know, you can walk in with some coins and buy a cucumber, and come into the US, they're $1.65. If you go to Whole Foods, you can easily pay $4, $5 for a cucumber, which is insane in my interpretation. The eggs, 71% more expensive. So baby formula, I'm going to very briefly talk about that because that is a special case, because we had a baby when we moved to the US, and we actually ended up bringing all of our formula for his entire childhood with us because it was so outrageously expensive here. I know I'm using lots of superlatives, but the baby formula is a special case, and researching it, what actually happened in the US is that the I think well-meaning Democratic president in the 70s brought in these vouchers. So any mother who I think couldn't feed her baby naturally through breast milk, any baby who couldn't feed her child naturally could get vouchers to get free baby formula up to a limit. I think that still exists, and obviously they're not going to check. So I think pretty much anyone, if they can just get these vouchers to get free baby formula. So you just take the voucher in and exchange it for baby formula and don't have to pay for it. And then the manufacturer or the retailer takes that voucher and gets the money back from the government. So as a result, I think I read something like 40 to 60% of baby formula in the US is actually procured using these vouchers, and the end users, consumers, don't actually pay for it. So that therefore reduces the competition and the natural market forces around the price of it, because the manufacturer can charge whatever they want and they'll get the money through redemption from the government, so consumers aren't actually having to pay the price in many cases, or even in most cases. So that has led to absolutely insanely expensive baby formula. If you look at a chart of baby formula price across the world, because the UK is actually quite expensive. I mean, you can get it if you go to southern Europe, Spain or Portugal, baby formula is less than half the price of the UK. So the UK is one of the most expensive places to get baby formula, and yet it's a third of the price of the US. So that is criminal, but obviously I'm not accusing anyone of a crime, but that is absolutely insanely expensive. And if you look on eBay, you can actually get companies that import formula from Europe, because it's, even with the shipping costs and everything, even in small volumes, it's profitable because the prices are so crazy in the US. And what else was I going to say about that? And also, you can get a lot of baby formula here. The lower end stuff has genetically modified ingredients and things like that would absolutely be banned in Europe. So you're paying way over the odds for stuff that's inferior. So for various reasons, we never ever bought baby formula in the US, and we imported all of the formula that we used for his entire childhood. He's 2 now, so he's not using formula anymore. So milk, a casual 50% more expensive. So Tropicana orange juice is the third and final item that's cheaper in the US, 5% cheaper. Again, you can buy larger containers of orange juice and multi-packs in the UK that bring even Tropicana imported from Florida to be lower cost in the UK than it is here. And also this with 122 isn't an unusual exchange rate, because I even ran this with, if you increase the rate to $2 to the pound, which it was 10 years ago, even then the UK works out significantly more expensive still, even if you move the exchange rate to $2 to the pound. So it's not an exchange rate anomaly. So yeah, so I'll speed up anyway. So olive oil, 113% more expensive, bottle for bottle. So on the diapers, the Pampers, what I did for the comparison was, because it was a 39 pack versus a 24 pack. I thought the fairest thing to do was just work out the price per diaper. So for the UK, it works out 18 cents per diaper, and for the US it's 41 cents. But if you go for the bigger pack from the UK, it's 6 cents per diaper. And if you go for the special offer, you can get it down to 4 cents per diaper versus 40. And I know you can buy larger boxes in the US, but they don't tend to give you a significant discount, certainly not a tenth of the price. So still, again, American company, American product, much more expensive in the US. The pizza, like for like, the UK pizza was actually heavier. It was a 20 grams heavier, 85% more expensive in the US. Ritz crackers, 26% more expensive. Tin of Campbell's tomato soup, 44% more expensive. The steak surprised me, because one of the things I'd always heard was that fresh fruit and veg is more expensive in the US, but that meat is cheaper, because a lot of the meat in the UK is imported, although a lot is British, but the meat that I was looking at was Irish, and you get meat from other parts of Europe. So there's a large market in meat moving around Europe, and there's a lot of choice. In the US, most meat is domestically produced. Again, they use growth hormone, and there's a lot of issues where it would not even be legal to sell the US meat in Europe because of animal welfare standards, chlorinated chicken, beef hormone, growth hormone, etc. So the meat in the US, all of these things are intended to make it more productive, more meat on the animal, lower costs, lower disease, and all of that. But still, the steak, gram for gram, is 88% more expensive. The steak mince, 111% more expensive, and that was the superior steak mince in the UK with lower fat. It wasn't the cheapest of the cheap. Bottled water, 105% more expensive, and yogurt, 74% more expensive. Okay, and now the final slide I have is just a comparison of the overall cost of a basket. So if we'd bought one of each of these items that we ran through, what that would look like from an overall shopping basket point of view. So this just shows that. So I won't go through all the prices again, just notes that. So I'm buying one of each of these items. So on the diapers, I've assumed I bought a pack of each. So in the UK, I would have got 62% more diapers for $2.60 less. So 62% more diapers there. And on the water, I'm getting 40% more water for 20 cents less. So the overall basket, so it's including tax and everything, for this is London versus Chicago. So in the UK, that whole basket of goods would have cost me $96.28, and that's dollars, so $96.28. And in the US, that exact same, or not exact same, probably less in many cases, those items would have cost $169.19. So 75% more expensive in the US overall for that basket of goods. Thanks guys. I'd love to hear the theories for why we how we account for this price difference, given that wages and things like that are generally lower in the UK. House prices, not going to get into that, but yeah, I don't understand. Doesn't make sense. Especially, I would say many of the items in the UK are imported, whereas being here in the US, I've noticed many more items are domestically produced. Although actually one thing I would say is that in the UK, most supermarkets produce their own, like you saw the 45 pence bottle of Coke, they had their own brand Coke. So many supermarkets of popular items, they'll produce their own brand versions. So you get own brand bacon, own brand Coke, own brand bread, eggs, milk, etc. Whereas in the US, there seems to be much more. Every supermarket will sell the same items, the same brands, and they don't tend to produce so many of their own brand items. So also interested to understand why that is.